sticking around till the last or second last penultimate session is very tough. So we'll try to keep it short and easy. So let me start with a question, and this is for the audience. What do you think packaged water companies produce? Anyone? What do they produce? Packaged water companies. Packaged water, mineral water. What do they produce? What do they produce? Exactly. They don't produce water. They produce plastic. They cannot produce water, right? They can only package it. So what they're producing is, so this doesn't go to anyone. We have a representation from PepsiCo, but it's not about that. It's just about, we're looking at the value chain, that where exactly, is the problem. So it's great to have this panelists here. Thank you for joining, who represent various sectors, various industries. What that will do is that give us a perspective of where exactly the problem lies in different sectors, and there could be unique problems. So, I'll start with a very generic question, and I'll start with Vishwa to you. Let's keep it very brief so that everyone gets multiple chances to answer questions. And I'll go from my left across. The most important in terms of which needs to be solved, the problem that your sector faces when it comes to sustainability.
Thank you, Saurabh and ET, for having us over here. Please sample a day that you spend, and I'm very sure that somewhere Tata Consumer touches you, whether it's the morning cup of tea or the water which Saurabh mentioned, which you need to keep yourself hydrated, or
plastic I mentioned rather.
Yes, we can talk on plastic as well. Or the need for a mini snacking, up to the pantry staples of Tata Sampann that we have. I'm sure it's in your pantries as well. Or the whole range of food that we offer from ready to eat. This means that we basically source a lot of agri commodities, and we also now grow because with Tata Coffee Plantation within our fold, we also grow for big companies like Starbucks, Lavazza, who are our customers. So I think being an agri commodity industry, our scope 3 is generally heavy, and that comes as a challenge to us. Now the challenge is twofold. Essentially, to understand within scope 3 what is applicable to you, because it's a huge area. There are 15 categories, and you would agree that scope 3 is also an area of a lot of duplication and cross-reporting. So first is how you decode what is applicable on you, and then of course then the solutioning part, because in terms of cracking the code on what is applicable, towards that we have done some work. We have got materiality-based third-party verified scopes that we report on. So the numbers get verified. I think the solution is now what we are trying to crack. And that is for an FMCG a big area of work.
We'll come back to scope 3. That has become the punching bag of every organization. Any fault, you just put to scope 3. That scope 3 is where the problem is. Rest is all okay. We'll come to that. Yashika, before that, coming to you. Your biggest challenges in terms of sustainability, and also that you have global commitments on sustainable agriculture, water use. How are you tackling that, and how is that transforming into decarbonization goals here in India?
Thank you very much. That's a big question. There are two big questions there, yes, okay. But let's see how well we can do, right? So PepsiCo is a food and beverage company, which means our value chain runs all the way from agriculture right down to retailers. What that means is that the most complex problem is dealing with the entire value chain, and as much as you hate to hear it, a lot of it is scope 3, and that's just the reality that most of us are living with, and which is the complexity, right? So starting from agriculture, where we are trying to drive regenerative agriculture practices, and when we are trying to do that involves reduction in GHG emissions as well. But we are working with farmers who sometimes have very small plots of land, who then require support and incentives and training to make that happen, which is something that we are working hard at. It's not easy, but we are committed to doing it, right? I'll answer the second question right away before I proceed on this. So yes, we have those commitments, and a big part of that is driving regenerative agricultural practices. Because what that does is it leads to soil improvement, it leads to water efficiency by using drip irrigation, it leads to lowering of GHG emissions, and of course biodiversity as well. And we work with 27,000 farmers in India when it comes to direct procurement that we are doing of potatoes, and we are looking to demonstrate the benefits of all of these practices, whether it's soil irrigation or otherwise. And we do it through multiple ways, either tying up with existing government schemes or putting up soil testing facilities. We call them Mitti Didi. And where we are creating agricultural entrepreneurs who are then being able to test the soil and give the information back to farmers. So yeah, there is progress. I think one of the big requirements for us from a regenerative agricultural practice is being able to unlock some of the incentives that exist for farmers, but ensuring that they get access to it and there is training and information available. Such that they see the benefits of doing so, right? There is livelihood benefits, but we need to demonstrate that again and again. And I think that's a broader discussion that we hope to have. The forums like this are very useful. I hope some of my other panelists would reflect on this, that in India, from a regulatory perspective, regenerative agriculture does not have the kind of spotlight that we'd like to see it have. A lot of companies like ours are doing it because of Scope 3 emissions, but I don't know if at a government level we have the kind of spotlight that would push this forward. I'll wrap up in a minute, but just to finish off your first question, apart from agriculture, we're also looking at, yes, circular economy and looking at packaging materials, right? The ecosystem to deliver solutions for complex multi-layer packaging to ensure that they are recycled and that they are recyclable and that they are recycled as packaging do not exist at the moment, right? We at PepsiCo have gone far ahead of where the regulatory requirement is, and 50% of our film packaging is already recyclable. And by the end of the year, our entire packaging will be recyclable. But what we need is the broader ecosystem and infrastructure to be in place for us to be able to use that recyclable material back into our own packaging. Yeah. Finally, since you said, I can't let this go, sorry. We were the first ones to launch carbonated drinks in our PET bottles. 100% recycled PET bottles. Pepsi Black was launched in them. Yeah, just wanted to leave that out with you.
No, sure. I'm sure you wouldn't have let this go because otherwise, I'm sure that once you achieve the 100% target that you said, we'll see a witty ad also in the newspaper with your rival company. So I'm sure that you'll use that wit here on me also. Rajesh, I'll come to you. At Cipla, a highly regulated space, how are you negotiating these challenges?
So thanks for inviting me. The main issue is that, as you said, it's a very regulated market, and one US FDA audit can kill our business, right? So anything that comes in contact with the medicine, we will not be able to change unless it goes through various approval processes, right? What we have done so far is that we have been focusing on things that is not directly in contact with the product, right? We have been able to recycle 50% of water back into our process, but despite that, we are 1.75 water positive in India, right? Because we have gone beyond the fence, because we will not be able to change much of it in our manufacturing process because of the regulatory market. That's one issue what we are facing. The second issue, I don't know how many of you know, there is something called antimicrobial resistance. People are getting resistance to antibiotics, right? In future, antibiotics may not work because there's contaminated water with antibiotics. So none of our plants are contaminating. but because we have ZLDs in place, but that's one of the challenges, that how do we control the third parties which manufacture for us, right? We have control on our own operations, but how do we
Scope 3.
control on the third parties? So we are doing it. And the third biggest challenge is that the good thing is that all our units in India are zero waste to landfill. We have 37 units in India. All the units are zero waste to landfill. But having said that, we have a problem of expired medicines, right? So any retailer, when it comes within 6 months of expiry, they will send it back to us, our medicines. There is no option for us other than to incinerate. Now, if we don't incinerate, it can come back as spurious medicines in the market, right? So the only way for us is to incinerate it. And even for incinerates, one of us has to go up to the incinerating facility to see that it's getting incinerated, right? So those are the three challenges with us. One is, of course, with respect to waste. The second is antimicrobial resistance. And the first part is, of course, any change which is required in the manufacturing process needs a lot of approval, because the regulators are different in different countries. US has US FDA, India has India FDA. If you go to European, there's another FDA over there. So it needs changes. It takes time, right? So that's the challenge which we have in our hand.
Just for my understanding, is this incineration done with the packaging, without the packaging?
With packaging.
With packaging. That cannot be recycled?
No, you can't recycle it actually.
That's what. So there is no sort of innovation happening in that space where that thing, that packaging can
The problem
be
is that how do you control the end use? See, if you have to recycle, how do you know it's going to recycle? You have to go and supervise those things.
The packaging as well.
Everything.
Okay, all right.
Because somebody can pack it elsewhere. Because we are dealing with patient safety. Tomorrow the complaint will be because the pack of Cipla, the medicine is something else inside that actually.
Right.
India has ways and means to do it actually.
Right.
So we don't want to take that chance, because
That's
there's
a very
huge
sad
reputation loss
problem.
for us.
That's a very sad problem, actually. Could have saved a lot of, emission there itself. But anyway, yes, India has unique challenges. So, Naveen, I'll come to you. Green hydrogen, carbon capture, utilization, storage, CCUs, as it is called, we were hearing about it. And these are often seen as very transformative for heavy industries especially. What has been your experience with these?
I think these are, as you've rightly said, transformative technologies, but a lot of things have to be done. So I think within our company, we have kept CCU, carbon capture utilization, and green hydrogen as basically the level 3 strategies to really sort of reduce. Basically, when we go for the last mile connectivity, I think these are the ones that are going to really help us. But before that, we believe that operational excellence will definitely play an important role to reduce our carbon intensity by close to 7 to 8%. And the good thing is that the incremental capex is 1 to 2%. So that's the one that we are really focusing on, because that is pragmatic as well and realistic. Second one is on the energy efficiency. That is the second lever, where with the incremental capex of close to 1%, it will give us another reduction in the carbon intensity by close to 6 to 7%. These are the quick wins for us, and for all the hard to abate sector, I think steel, we believe that these are within our hands, these are within our boundaries, so that's where we are focusing. Second point, the most easiest thing for us is the penetration of renewable energy or low carbon emission electrons within our operating plants. Solar has almost reached to a maturity, the prices have dropped significantly, so as wind farms, so as the battery storage. So I think 14 to 15 hours is absolutely a great time. It is not about the lowest levelized cost of energy, but I think it will really help us to reduce our carbon intensity by 15 to 20%. So amazing lever. And again, on the renewable energy side, I think Dr. Naik is sitting here, where we are actually using and exploring is about the deployment of nuclear energy. I think with Government of India mandating and not mandating, basically having this visioning of 100 gigawatt of nuclear energy by 2047, I think it is, especially for our industry, hard to abate industry, absolutely nuclear energy is going to play an important role as well. And then converging into the small modular reactors, I think that is also the thing that we are also exploring quite actively. Then the carbon capture utilization. See, we have to think about the realistic thing about carbon capture utilization. You see the abatement cost on the carbon capture utilization, in our case, it is close to $120 per ton of steel. You know, steel, when we are aspiring to become a developed country by 2047, and where steel has to play an important role, we cannot say that, we do it absolutely with a zero carbon intensity. There will always be a carbon in the steel. We are making carbon steel, right? It cannot be zero. So we have to do it sustainably, we have to add close to 150 odd million tons in next 5 odd years, right? That is the per capita consumption. If you see what we have in India, it is 96 kilos of steel. And the benchmark, the threshold that we see in the market, it is close to 160 to 170 kilos. So even if we push to 300 million tons of steel, we will only go to 150, 160 kilos. So reaching the threshold, when we have to compete with countries like US, Germany, Japan, where the per capita consumption of steel is close to 250 to 300 kilos, I think we have a long distance to travel. So how we do it with more responsibility, with more sustainability, I think that is where the focus is. We'll keep on adding steel, and these are the levers where we believe carbon capture utilization is where I think a lot of scalability has to be worked on. Technology has to also play an important role. We are the only company in the world under iron and steel sector which is already capturing 3,000 tons of CO2 per day, right? So capturing is one part. We don't have to show to the world that capturing is a new technology. Capturing has been is being already done for last so many decades. In fertilizer industry, if you go refining, they are already doing it for so many decades. I think the focus should be more on utilization, how we can valorize this captured CO2 more into chemicals, methanol, ethanol, or calcium carbonate, especially into these chemicals where India is a net importer of these chemicals. So I think that is where the focus is. Storage part, I think long way to go. Director of Hydrocarbon has to really explore the permanent sink. Amazing potential in India, close to 500 gigatons of permanent storage is there. Where we zoom into the eastern corridor, where our plants are operating, close to 200 odd gigaton of permanent storage are there. But they have to be explored, and then with hub and cluster models, with all the industries taking the captured CO2, pushing into those permanent blocks, are definitely going to move the needle. Putting up a 10 tons per day of plant, 15 tons of tons per day of plant is not going to move the needle. I think the massive, impact will be possible when we sort of have this carbon capture utilization mission will be launched within the next 2-3 months, and then the viability gap funding coming in, hub and cluster model coming in. I think that is where we see the massive impact.
Correct. And I think it becomes all the more important with EU behaving the way it is behaving, that Indian steel industry specifically, buckles up and ensures that, which we were talking about, that the steel is clean and all, because otherwise CBAM is going to kill our industry, the steel industry here back in India. We'll come to that. We'll go to Naresh, and Naresh, fast fashion and textile production, very high on emission. That nature is embedded in that industry. What are you doing at Aditya Birla?
Thank you, E.T., for having me here. Can anyone tell one T-shirt, cotton T-shirt, how much water it you take? To make one T-shirt, how much water? Any idea?
No, I don't have.
One T-shirt take 3,000 liter of water. One jeans, it take 8,000 liter of water. That is that intensity of resource
usage. Is that non-recyclable water, is that used?
Mostly cotton as a industry. If we talk about global level, most of the material goes to landfill. 80% globally goes to landfill. And because of fast fashion, but before I go to fast fashion, let me touch on that, what this industry is. This industry, one of the most resource intensive industry. I mentioned about water, energy, material use. Same time, this industry has that maximum employment. And you see that in garment factory, mostly ladies. The environment side, highly pollutant industry. Social side, very high employment generation industry, especially underprivileged women coming from rural background. 90% women in factories. That is the kind of nature. Going to that consumer level, it's no one knows how much water it takes to make one garment. But same time, consumer take it, feel good, and look good. That is a factor. Everyone want to be looking better and good. That is in the nature of the industry. One side high glamorous, other side supply chain side. Most of the product is made in Asia or in least developed country, where labor practice and all that resource issue is always constrained. That is the dynamic this industry is. Now, fast fashion coming into picture. Fast fashion, what is fast fashion? This is more affordable. You use it and make, sell, use and throw. That is the concept of fast fashion which started. Means irresponsible fashion where you are not bothered where it is going, and hence it land in that landfill for that 80-90%. India as a tradition, we don't throw things so easily. We are recycling, we are reusing. Even I know that saris, it goes to 3 generation, 4 generation. So we as a culture are not Indian, that garment going to landfill is hardly 12%. That is that we have. Same time, I think globally, concept of fast fashion, now ultra fast fashion, where you just affordable garment, you buy it, use it and throw it, is not sustainable. And hence that whole concept of recyclable circularity is coming in big way. Other side, we talk about decarbonization, net zero. I think it is extreme energy level. One is making level and use level. Use level, no one knows that when you have that your garment at home, you wash it, you iron it. That also take a lot of energy and carbon footprint. So that is not limited only within that supply chain, it goes to value chain, how consumer use it, how consumer throw it, and whether it can come back to that whole cycle, back to that circularity, is the opportunity for India. Early stage, but that is the journey which is starting now.
All right, thank you so much. That was something I learned today. I had no idea that this is the amount of water that a simple t-shirt that we don't even think twice before discarding.
Jeans is 8,000
yeah,
liters.
jeans, as you said, but jeans is still, it lasts us probably, I don't know, it lasts me years and years, but t-shirts definitely.
Shirt is 5,000 liter water.
So there you are. So I want to ask you, so most of you here have group companies, right? And I was asking this to Vishwa before we enter here. How many times do you talk to your counterparts? And I did this in the morning, and I was surprised to hear that a lot of PSUs actually talk amongst themselves because they have a architecture where the the Niti Aayog is there and government is there to do that. How many times do you talk to your counterparts? For instance, Tata, you have other companies, Jindal, you talked about steel, but you have other, Aditya Birla, same there, PepsiCo, same. So do you actually exchange notes with them, or you do your mistakes on your own, unique mistakes, and keep going on?
Oh, thank you for the question, Saurabh. But I'll just like to, if you allow me to go back to the first question again on the scope 3. So we are a scope 1, scope 2 neutral company. Of course, we have a big plantation and we can boast of the neutrality around that. But 50% and more of our energy comes from RE. So scope 3 is not a villain for us. It is certainly a challenge for us, which we are trying to track and crack. Yeah. Coming back to the second question, so we don't only discuss, we actually have to report back, because within Tata Group, we have a project, it's called Alingan. Alingan is a Sanskrit term which means to embrace. And it's our group chairman, Chandra's project, which says that we will embrace the earth in a beneficial way. And there are 3 aspects. First aspect is net zero. Second is on circularity, which touches upon packaging, water and waste. And the third one is on biodiversity. So there are Alingana working groups on net zero, circularity and biodiversity. I represent in 2 of them from my company. Each group company has to take a target and to report back every quarter what we are doing. And every annual year, there is a chairman's connect where you have to go and talk about it. So it's not only a point of talking, it's a point of commitment for us, which every Tata Group company has to publicly announce and chase and report back. So at the Tata Group, and our variety, I was talking to you from steel to iron to FMCG to services,
To
to airline, anything you talk about, we are there. So, and every group company is a Alingana participant. So certainly net zero and environment, sustainability at large is one of our commitments, and we are appraised on that.
Okay, great. Anyone else wants to take that?
So I think Aditya Birla Group, very diversified group. We have that operation from metal mining to financial services to textile to everything. There is a lot of group working group learning. At the corporate level, which is Aditya Birla Group, we have that sustainability framework and guideline. And it is on 3 pillars. Responsible stewardship, where you have to look beyond compliance. Second is that stakeholder engagement, where you have to go to all stakeholders and co-create something for better and sustainable way. Third is that future proofing. So this framework is common across all that group company. Then you have that load of project together. I will give 2-3 examples. Our aluminum company in US called Novelis is the world's largest recycling aluminum company. 75% business model is recycling. 75%. And they are the largest, even all that beverage can is from that plant. Hindalco learned a lot from Novelis because Hindalco is Indian operation. Same way that our mining, metal and mining, they have something called red mud. Red mud is waste for them, and it is raw material for our cement division. So their waste is used as a raw material for cement industry. Textile, we have that world largest viscose fiber maker company, Birla Cellulose. Their raw material is pulp and viscose. Even our textile waste goes to them and it's raw material and come back to us. So there is lot of not only a working group or cross learning, but business case and business model where end product or waste material of one company, group company become raw material for other and it come back again. So true example of recycling or circular business model within the group companies that I thought I must say.
Okay, all right.
No, I think the collaboration that is happening among the group company and plus the peers, I think that has significantly increased, and thanks to the government initiative and so many initiatives like Green Hydrogen Mission, the Carbon Capture Utilization Mission, and so all these things, even the green taxonomy, that actually India is probably the only country in the world which has clearly defined what is green steel. People outside India, they talk about green steel, low carbon emission steel. They want to put tax on us, but they are still missing what is the definition of green steel. So Ministry of Steel has really taken this initiative where defined green steel, given the ratings, 5-star, 3-star, 4-star, and also the procurement mandates, through the PPP model. So I think a lot of dialogue, in fact, in some of the cases, we as a consumer, we also push our group company that, okay, you have given us a mandate to penetrate low carbon emission electrons by middle of next year. What is the status? We review their status so that we start using those electrons to power our power plants. That is one. Second, we also take support and learnings from our group companies like Power. There is a mandate to use 5% biomass pellet along with the coal in the boilers there. So we are also trying how we can use the pellets to put into our blast furnaces, how we can recycle tires, waste from our mines, all the conveyor belts and tires, because they use massive tires from the pneumatic conveying from the belts and from the tires. So we press this basically tires, make it into a pellet form and use those tires in our blast furnaces, right? So all our gases that are waste actually in the blast furnaces or in the coke oven gases, all those gases we used as a fuel to power our plant. So much of synergy, so much of circularity, recycling, and I think learning that is happening, the knowledge that is actually going on daily basis within our company, peers and outside the company. I think that is amazing. So interesting times ahead. Thank you.
I've learned 2 words today, and I'm going to research it very diligently. In the first session, I learned about green data centers, and now I'm learning about green steel. So I'm going to really research hard on these, because both of them are hugely, polluting, centers. But definitely, I'll search. We just have 5 minutes. So Yashika, I'll come to you, and he talked about peer learning. So is there anything you're doing with packaging, or logistics, which can significantly reduce the environmental impact, which you have talked about a little bit, but if you can elaborate? And is there something which a pharma industry, in terms of peer learning, can, because I understand the problem that there is a huge reputation and other losses concerned with disposing the packaging, but there has to be a way to that. It cannot go on like that.
I'll speak for myself, and I'll keep it short so that
that's
you
why
have
the
an
peer
opportunity
learning
to
is that
respond.
way. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we at PepsiCo, we have this idea of philosophy called partnership of progress, and we apply that to everything. And the reason we believe in that is because some of these problems are way bigger than our individual companies, and the solutions will therefore come from the ecosystem. They will not come, and as much as we innovate in the way we produce things, we need a broader ecosystem to solve some of these problems. I spoke about the fact that, our films are recyclable by design. Our packaging for Lay's and for Kurkure, the packaging is recyclable by design, and 100% of our food portfolio will be recyclable packaging. We didn't achieve this by ourselves. We worked very closely with our partners, with our suppliers and vendors, who helped us design this in a manner that allowed us to keep our costs neutral. Now, that was something which is extremely important, right? Because, previous panels spoke about the business impact of sustainable practices. How do you make it business relevant? For us, this was how we were working in a very inflationary economy over the past couple of years, and then we had to deliver on this because we had made a commitment. And this did not happen just by PepsiCo. It happened because we were working with peers, and we were working with suppliers and vendors who I think as much believed in the idea that they found us, help us find this solution. So absolutely, and I think I'll hand over the microphone here, but even broadly speaking, when it comes to finding solutions for the circular economy, for packaging, the work that we do through industry associations, when we all come together and we are trying to sort of solve for it in a manner that it meets the government's mandate as well, but ensures that we are creating solutions that are truly circular in nature and are not just ticking off a box. That's where the industry usually comes together. So as others had example of within a very differentiated company, for us, it's really working with the peers and finding solutions together. I'll let you.
Rajesh, final comments here.
So on the first question, we are not as diversified as any of those companies. So we make only medicine, nothing else. Right? But we have subsidiaries.
Very focused approach.
We have subsidiaries, but that's more of for tax benefits and excise benefits, not for...
That's a strange admission, though.
Our thing is simple, and the advantage with us is that most of our operations are in India, so 80% of our emissions are within India, not outside India, actually, right? So on the second question is, why can't we use it? So the thing is that expired medicine comes under biomedical waste. So legally, right? Yeah. So legally, we are supposed to do what government says, right? Which says that as per a consent condition, you're supposed to incinerate, right? And the second thing is that it should have huge calorific value if you have to send it to a cement industry for that, actually, right? So there are a lot of parameters which needs to be sorted out before we conclude that we can use it for an alternate energy, right? So as of now, it's a regulated market, but I hope that EPR should be in place for medical waste, because what do you do in the medicines, what you expire, which you are using at home?
Right.
There is no disposal mechanism.
We're just throwing it out in the dustbin.
Just throwing it out, actually, right? Which goes to sewer, which goes to water, and it can lead to contamination later and can lead to antimicrobial resistance. I'm not threatening you, but it's going to be a huge problem for us if we don't manage this biomedical waste properly.
So we just have 32 seconds. I mean, and this is for the benefit of everyone, including myself. What should we do with the expired medicines at home?
So there is a new guideline which government has introduced. Again, it's kind of, you'll not be able to judge, saying that all medicines which are narcotics, right, you are supposed to flush it through your
Toilets?
water systems, and rest you are supposed to send to the retailer. It's in the draft stage, but the reverse logistics is going to be a huge issue.
Yeah.
Right? Right. Yeah. So the retailer, when you send the medicine back to us, we are supposed to pay him back the expired medicine's cost.
Right.
That's how it works.
Right. All right.
Right.
So that's why we say India is not for the beginners.
So
that if you have to do that.
So I can't repay if he brings a Dr. Reddy's, or I can't repay for him. I'll repay only for Cipla medicines.
No,
so
I was talking about the solution that you gave me for my waste medicine at home. That's very comfortable to hear. I mean, that's an easy way to dispose it.
You send it to me, I'll be able to do it for you.
Anyway, so thank you so much everyone for joining us here. We are out of time, but I really had more questions, but definitely next time we are on stage, we'll discuss this further, and we can catch up outside also, and probably by then you'll have a solution to your waste medicines. Thank you everyone for joining us here.